In a quiet neighborhood, there lived a 14-year-old boy named Ethan. Now, Ethan wasn't the tallest kid you'd ever meet. He wasn't the strongest, and he definitely wasn't the most confident. But he had something far more powerful, something deep inside him. A heart that simply refused to give up. Ethan had this one huge dream, to become a great basketball player. It was all he thought about. The swish of the net, the roar of the crowd. He could almost taste it. But every single time he tried to join a team, the story was the same. Someone would laugh. Someone would point. "You're too small," one kid would sneer. "You're too weak," another would say. "You're just not cut out for this." Those words, ... they stung. They were like little daggers that pricked at his confidence. For a moment, he'd feel that familiar lump in his throat, that sinking feeling in his stomach. But he never, ever let them destroy him. He'd take a deep breath, clench his fists, and promise himself he wouldn't quit. Not today. Not ever. One sweltering afternoon, an old, retired coach was taking his usual walk through the neighborhood. His name was Mr. Harrison, and he'd seen it all in his long career. He'd coached champions. He'd seen prodigies rise and fall. As he passed by the old, cracked street court at the edge of the park, a sound caught his attention. Thump, thump, clank. Thump, thump, clank. He saw Ethan, all by himself, practicing under the harsh sun. Ethan's shots were, to be honest, terrible. They'd hit the rim, the backboard, anywhere but the net. His dribbling was messy, the ball seeming to have a mind of its own. He was sweating, breathing hard, and clearly exhausted. Any other person would have given up and gone home long ago. But the old coach noticed something rare, something he hadn't seen in a very long time. The boy never quit. After every missed shot, Ethan would chase down the ball, take a breath, and try again. After every clumsy dribble, he'd reset, focus, and start over. There was a fire in his eyes, a stubborn refusal to be defeated by his own limitations. Mr. Harrison watched for nearly an hour, hidden behind a large oak tree. He saw the frustration, the disappointment, but most importantly, he saw the persistence. Finally, he decided to step out from the shadows. He walked slowly towards the court. Ethan, startled, fumbled the ball and stopped, expecting more ridicule. But the old coach just smiled a warm, gentle smile. "Tough day at the office, huh?" the coach said, his voice raspy but kind. Ethan just nodded, embarrassed, unable to look the man in the eye. The coach picked up the basketball. He held it in his weathered hands, feeling the familiar texture. "Let me tell you something, son," he began, looking straight at Ethan. "Talent can fail. I've seen the most talented players throw it all away. Strength can fade. Age and injury can take it from anyone. But heart never loses." Those words hit Ethan with more force than any basketball. Heart never loses. From that day forward, everything changed. That one sentence lit a spark in Ethan that grew into an inferno. Mr. Harrison became his mentor, his guide. And Ethan became his most dedicated student. The new routine was grueling. Every morning, before the sun even thought about rising, while the rest of the neighborhood was fast asleep, Ethan was on that court. The thump-thump of his basketball was the new alarm clock for the birds. He'd run drills until his legs felt like jelly. Every evening, after finishing his homework, he was back out there. Under the dim glow of the single street lamp, he'd practice his shots. 100 free throws, 200 jump shots. He didn't stop until his arms ached so much he could barely lift them. Every weekend became a training camp. Even when it rained, Ethan was there. His clothes soaked, the ball slick in his hands, his determination unwavering. The rain couldn't wash away his dream. The coach pushed him harder than anyone ever had. He pointed out every flaw, every mistake. "Your footwork is sloppy," he'd yell. "Keep your eyes up when you dribble. Follow through on your shot." But for every bit of criticism the coach threw at him, Ethan pushed back with twice the determination. He didn't make excuses. He didn't complain. He just listened, learned, and worked harder. Months flew by, the seasons changed. The leaves turned from green to gold, then fell, and were replaced by snow. But Ethan's routine never wavered. Slowly, almost imperceptibly. At first, things began to change. His shots, once wild and unpredictable, started to find the net with a satisfying swish. His dribbling, once messy, became a seamless extension of his hand. His legs, once weak, grew stronger, more explosive. He was quicker, more agile. But the biggest change wasn't just physical. His confidence, once so fragile, began to expand. He started to hold his head a little higher. He walked with a purpose. The boy who used to flinch at his own shadow was disappearing, replaced by someone who believed in himself. Finally, the day for the school team tryouts arrived again. A year had passed since his last rejection. As Ethan walked into the gym, he could feel the familiar stares. He saw some of the same kids who had laughed at him before. They whispered, "Look, the small kid is back again." But this time, something was different. Ethan didn't walk into that gym as the small kid. He walked in as the boy who trained when everyone else slept. He walked in as the boy who practiced in the rain. He walked in carrying the quiet confidence that only comes from relentless, hard work. During the drills, he was a blur of motion. His passes were crisp. His defense was tenacious. And his shots were pure. Swish, swish, swish. A silence fell over the gym as coaches and players alike watched in disbelief. Who was this kid? When the time came for the team selections to be announced, the head coach stood in front of the group of nervous hopefuls with a list in his hand. He cleared his throat. The gym was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. "The first name on our varsity roster this year," the coach said loudly and clearly, "is Ethan." Ethan's heart skipped a beat. He heard his name. He heard his name called first. A wave of emotion washed over him, not just joy, but a profound sense of accomplishment. He made the team. Not because he was the tallest, not because he was the strongest, but because he was the one who refused to quit. He was the one who understood that the real battle is not against the other players on the court, but against the voice inside your head that tells you to give up. And in that moment, standing in the middle of the gym, Ethan learned one of life's greatest and most powerful lessons. It's a lesson that applies to basketball, to school, to your career, to everything. You don't have to be amazing to start, but you do have to start to become amazing. Thank you for watching. If this story resonated with you, remember to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next video. Never give up on your dreams.